Welcome everybody. In my last introductory video for the series that I'm about to begin from the book Women Healed, I mentioned to you that I'm a fertility care practitioner, that I teach couples and women to track biomarkers in their cycle so that women can be empowered and use it to monitor, maintain, and evaluate her own gynecological health, or the couple can use it to plan their families, avoiding or achieving pregnancy. Well, I didn't mention that I am also certified a Creighton Model Fertility Care Educator and Supervisor. And as a part of being educators, I get to go to education phases and teach men and women to become a practitioner so they can help other couples and women. And here I am now in South Carolina, in Greer, at St. Rebecca's Maronite Catholic Parish at an education phase for the Creighton Model Fertility Care System. We call it EPII. And I'm joined by one of the interns here. Leah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you please introduce yourself first for all our viewers?
Yes, my name is Leah. I am a registered nurse. I work in a critical care setting. That is just my side job. Full-time job, I am a mom of 3, and I have been using the Creighton Model System for 12 years now. That's why I decided to be a practitioner.
That's great. Can you tell us more why you wanted to be a practitioner based on your experience in those 12 years of charting the Creighton Model System?
Yes, so growing up I had several medical problems, including female medical problems that started off, this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I was born with a congenital defect where I had 2 uteruses and 1 kidney, and part of that problem growing up is that my cycles after I started my period were very heavy, very painful, and I wasn't really getting any clear answers until I went for a CT, which is just a CAT scan, my freshman year of college. So you can imagine from 13 to college having these unexplained, extremely painful periods, and my mom takes me to a fertility specialist, well-renowned fertility specialist in Birmingham. And he starts me on a birth control pill and tells me that in order to fix my problem, he doesn't want me to have periods. And after he fixes this problem needs to be fixed with surgery, to where he will take my non-communicating uterine horn, so the second uterus that was not actually connected, out. So being a freshman, non-genitally active in college, and being told that I need to be put on birth control at that time, birth control to me was for somebody who, it was just a very unexplored concept, idea. I didn't know. I just knew this isn't really what I want to do, but this seems like my only option. I got on birth control and it didn't do anything that the doctor told me it was supposed to do. It didn't stop my periods. If anything, it just made me feel erratic. I was emotional. I was crying. I was in a serious relationship, and my boyfriend at the time was like, "What is going on with you? I don't understand." And you know, men in college don't have the background that we have now, but you know, they just think you're crazy. So yeah. I felt crazy. So that to say, after the surgery, that was 3 months of me having to be on birth control, and after the surgery, I promised myself that I would never get on birth control again. Fast forward a couple years, I met my husband, who was raised Catholic. His understanding of marriage and what it should be was, you know, the woman is not to be on birth control, and that marriage and the sanctification of it is very important without those contraceptives. Okay. At the time, I didn't really know. I did not grow up Catholic. I didn't know anything about natural family planning. I didn't know anything. So, I mean, by grace, only his stepdad was a OBGYN who happened to be in the Creighton Model medical consultant.
We call that NaProTECHNOLOgy.
NaProTECHNOLOgy, yes. That's all I really knew about it. He introduced me to a practitioner who taught us Creighton Model prior to getting married. And we used this kind of off and on throughout our marriage. I was not very dedicated to it in the beginning. I got pregnant pretty off, like pretty, I guess, a year within our marriage.
Sorry to interrupt you. Were you using the system to achieve pregnancy when you got pregnant, or you were not following instructions?
We were not following instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, we were using it to avoid, but as we would look at it now, it would say it was achieving related behaviors. Yes.
We learned this week about classification of pregnancy. So achieving related pregnancy means from the available information, the couple used the system to get pregnant.
Yes.
And that's what Leah and her husband
Yes.
did.
So I actually, given my history, my medical history with my female reproductive organs, I started spotting right after I got pregnant. I recognized that this was not a normal thing for me. I went to my father-in-law, who's an OBGYN, and with his experience in NaProTECHNOLOGY, he knew to check my progesterone levels and really start digging into what was going on with my body. He found out that my progesterone was low. He started me on hormone replacement therapy. Unfortunately, it was too late. We didn't catch it in time, and I miscarried. With that information, I got pregnant. Several months later, my second pregnancy, again, achieving related behaviors. And a lot of that, my father-in-law was able to take that information again. We caught it very early. I was able to be on progesterone. So fast forward, I had my 9-year-old, that was my 9-year-old daughter. She's 9 now. I got pregnant very intentionally the second time using the method, using Creighton Model System. My progesterone levels were low. Unfortunately, my father-in-law was not practicing at the time, and I had to go to what I would consider a contemporary OBGYN who did not know anything. I told him in my checkup that I have a history of low progesterone in my pregnancies. He told me that this was outdated.
It's crazy. Like, it's a reality, and they don't want to admit to it.
Yes.
It's outdated. Like,
he told me it was outdated, and I said, well, I need to get my progesterone level checked. Fortunately, I had something to compare it to, because when I took the home pregnancy test, I called my father-in-law, he's still a practicing physician. He's just not an OBGYN. So he was able to write for me to get my progesterone level checked. And it was great when I first found out it was high. We were excited about the pregnancy. But, with contemporary physicians, you can't get into their office until you're at least, 13 weeks pregnant, if not more. So by that time, I asked him to repeat my progesterone. By the time I found out that it had dropped, I was already spotting. So I called him.
How far you were in the pregnancy at that time?
I was probably 13 to 15 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
I was excited enough to the point where I was past how far along I was in my first miscarriage. But as soon as I got the levels back from him and they were low, I did start noticing some spotting. So I called him on, he was the on-call physician, and I said, listen, my progesterone levels are dropping. I know my body. I feel like I'm about to miscarry again. I need to be on progesterone. He told me there was no research in this, essentially made me feel like I was crazy. I actually waited another day and called the second on-call physician and told her the same story. She again told me there was no evidence in this. She told me that in order for them to treat progesterone levels in their practice, my progesterone level needed to be an 8 or below. If you look at the curve using NaProTECHNOLOGY, I was at a 17 and I knew I was trending down. I told them if I get to an 8, that will be a miscarriage.
It's unbelievable that you as a patient have to convince the doctor of something that the doctor should be more knowledgeable in it, and they're refusing to even admit to it.
In my mind, it's like I'm not even somebody who's off the street. Like I've been practicing at this time as a nurse for several years. In my mind, I'm knowledgeable. Like I'm very knowledgeable in the medical system, in the medical field, in the body. Like I'm not just this is things that are going on in my mind. And so I called her. She put me on artificial progesterone. My insurance wasn't going to pay for it, and it was $300. I, of course, burst into tears because I think I'm about to miscarry again. I called my father-in-law. I said, you have to do something. So he was like, Leah, I was the only one that I knew of in our surrounding area that practiced like this. He said, let me get on a phone call. Let me kind of make let me see what I can do. He found a physician who practiced NaProTECHNOLOgy, and I would more than me, his Dr. Lipscomb. He's out of Winston-Salem. He called Dr. Lipscomb. He was almost an hour away from where I was living at the time. He actually told my father-in-law that night. He said, please tell her not to worry. I will see her in the morning. Didn't even hesitate to get me into his office. They checked my progesterone. They started me on real progesterone injections. My insurance covered it. They did an ultrasound that day just to make me feel better about hearing a heartbeat. And it was just, I now have a 6-year-old son because of that. And it's just the amount of emotion and the amount of miscarriages that could be prevented. I've just gotten really passionate about this over the last few years, and I want more people to be aware of it. Yeah. There has been so many, with society being what it is lately, there's been so many ethical and moral and all these decisions that come into it, and how I feel about life in general, and how I feel like what a female should be and how a female should be empowered by her body. These all play into why I'm doing it, but mostly because of my own experience, and I know I'm not the only one. It's this silent suffering, I guess, is what a lot of women refer to it as, and they're doing it alone. And I want them to know, you're not alone. I've been in your shoes.
And we can help you.
And we can help you. Exactly. And it's just this, I want to empower women so much more than what the medical field currently is doing for them. And then being a part of it, I feel like I have an advantage because I'm a nurse. But at the same time, I mean, it's just, that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm into it.
That's great. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful story.
Yeah.
It's amazing when we compare the care that we get from the regular contemporary doctors and from the NaPro. It's like a black and white. I remember when we were walking through our infertility journey, and then we met the NaPro doctor. It was like we met there for 5 minutes, and the doctor said, we will make your baby in the lab. We met with Dr. Watson, and she spent 1 full hour explaining to us the whole procedure. Like, wow, exactly. They look at you as a human being. Yeah. They care about you. They care about finding the problems, finding the solution for the problem.
Exactly.
And I think every woman, we all believe, every woman has the right to know this. Every couple needs to discover that there are alternatives to in vitro fertilization and artificial contraception. And that's why we're here. We want to make sure every woman gets the care she deserves. Thank you so much, Leah, for sharing that. I know now you're in your second part of the program, which we call the education phase 2. Mm-hmm. So you've been to EP1 and SP1. Do you have any highlights from teaching 6 clients so far that you would like to share with the viewers, so this can hopefully encourage them to really consider check-in practitioner chart in their own cycle?
Yeah, actually I do. There's one couple, they're very cute. They've been married for several years. They have 4 children. They came to me because they wanted to use the Creighton model for temporary avoidance. They wanted to better space. They didn't know if they want to have more children. And they were actually just kind of using a calendar method that they found.
Which is not reliable. It doesn't work because it works only with women who ovulate on day 14. So it's not scientifically based, not reliable. Our method is fully scientifically based, so it's completely different.
Yes.
Let's make it clear the difference here.
They had all these myths with natural family planning. They were like, oh, well, you can't get pregnant in your period, or, you can't, just like you said, it's based completely off of everybody ovulating on the same day. So their way of not getting pregnant was only engaging in intercourse one day a whole month. And this is a couple who has been married for years, and they're a very cute couple, and they get along, and you can tell there's just a very solid friendship there. But after teaching her cycle and allowing for showing them their days of infertility and fertility, and when they can and cannot get pregnant, and watching her over the follow-ups get more confident in her charting, and get more confident in saying, this is definitely a day of infertility. Like, we can definitely use this day. And seeing the husband's reaction and coming back after they had used more days during that month. It was just very cute because they're older than me and they've been married longer than I have. Yeah. But to see that excitement and that giddiness still show up in a relationship after you empower this couple to make decisions and give them a freedom within their relationship. It was really actually really neat to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure you agree with me. It's very rewarding and fulfilling what we're doing and
Yes.
how we're changing lives one client at a time.
Yes.
So that's great. Thank you so much, Leah, for saying yes to
no
this
problem.
great job. We need more women, more men saying yes to this ministry, because every woman needs to know about the Creighton Model Fertility Care System and NaProTECHNOLOGY. So thank you. I know you have to get ready for your final exam tomorrow, your last day of EP2. So thank you so much for making the time to share with the viewers your own story with the Creighton model. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button, because soon I'm going to start the series from the book Woman Healed. Thank you, and God bless you.